The cardboard box sat beside the dumpster, folded corners sagging in the rain. Inside, 3 tiny bodies pressed together, pink skin barely visible through sparse gray fuzz. Their eyes were sealed shut. Their ears hadn't opened yet. And they were silent, not squeaking, not moving. Just breathing. Barely. It was April in Durham, North Carolina, and someone walking to their car that Tuesday morning almost didn't look down. His name was Marcus Chen, and he'd lived in the apartment complex for 2 years without ever thinking much about the wildlife around him. He noticed the box because it was blocking his path. When he bent down to move it, he heard something, a sound so faint he thought maybe he'd imagined it. He opened the flap. 3 baby squirrels, no bigger than his thumb, trembled against the damp cardboard. Most people in that situation would have kept walking. Marcus almost did. But something in the way they huddled together, something in their fragile stillness, made him pause. He pulled out his phone, hands shaking slightly, and searched, found baby squirrels what to do. The first result told him exactly what not to do. Don't feed them. Don't give them water. Don't assume they're orphaned until you know for certain their mother isn't coming back. Speaking of coming back to something important, if you want to keep seeing rescue stories like this one, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what happens next. But let me take you back to that rainy April morning when Marcus made a decision that would change everything. He carefully closed the box and brought it inside his apartment, setting it on the kitchen counter away from his curious cat. The babies were cold to the touch, a bad sign. He filled a plastic water bottle with warm water, wrapped it in a dish towel, and gently placed it next to them. The research said hypothermia kills more orphaned baby squirrels than anything else. While the babies warmed, Marcus kept reading. These squirrels were young, maybe 2 weeks old, based on the descriptions he found. Their skin had started to show that gray tint beneath the surface, the first sign of developing fur. They had tiny whiskers. But their eyes were closed, their ears were sealed, and their bodies were no longer than his pinky finger. The protocol was clear. If there's any chance the mother is alive, you have to try to reunite them. Mother squirrels are incredible parents. They'll risk their lives to retrieve their babies, carrying them by the scruff one by one back to the nest. But reunification only works if the babies are warm, if it's daylight, and if the area is safe from predators. Marcus checked the clock. It was 7 in the morning. He had time. He went back outside, scanning the trees near the dumpster. High up in an old oak, maybe 30 feet off the ground, he spotted it, a large ball of dried leaves and twigs wedged between 2 branches. A squirrel nest. His heart lifted slightly. Maybe this had been an accident. Maybe the nest had been damaged in last night's storm, and the mother was nearby, frantic, searching. He took the box back outside and placed it on the ground near the base of the tree, open so the mother could see inside. Then he went back to his apartment and watched from the window. 1 hour passed. Then 2. The rain had stopped, but the sky stayed gray. Marcus saw adult squirrels moving through the trees, darting along branches, leaping from oak to maple, but none came down to investigate the box. By the 3rd hour, the babies had started to make noise. Soft, desperate chirps. He'd read that mother squirrels respond to their babies' calls, that wildlife rehabilitators sometimes play recordings of baby squirrel cries to lure mothers back. He found a video on YouTube and played it on his phone near the open window. The sound carried across the parking lot, high-pitched and urgent. Nothing. No mother appeared. Marcus felt something tighten in his chest. By noon it was clear. Either the mother was dead or she'd abandoned them. The babies were orphaned. He called the North Carolina Wildlife Helpline and explained the situation. The woman on the other end of the line asked careful questions. How old did they look? Were there any visible injuries? Had he fed them anything? When he said no to the last question, she sounded relieved. Cow's milk, she explained, would kill them. So would dehydration, hypothermia, or improper handling. She gave him the number for a licensed wildlife rehabilitator an hour south in Raleigh. He called immediately. The rehabilitator's name was Linda Osgood, and she'd been rescuing squirrels for 15 years. Her voicemail said she was at capacity but to leave a message with details. Marcus did. He described the babies, eyes closed, sparse fur, about 2 weeks old. He left his number and waited. While he waited, he kept the babies warm, He didn't feed them. He didn't touch them more than necessary. He just watched them huddle together in the box, their tiny chests rising and falling. Real quick, if you want to see the extended version with all the rescue footage and updates on these little guys, we've got that in the membership. Link below. Okay, back to Marcus and the babies who needed him. Linda called back 2 hours later. She could take them, but Marcus would need to bring them to her. She was in the middle of caring for 12 other baby squirrels and couldn't leave. Marcus didn't hesitate. He secured the box in his car, keeping the makeshift heating pad warm, and drove south on Highway 40 toward Raleigh. The whole way, he kept glancing at the box in the passenger seat, listening for any sound, any movement. The babies stayed quiet. Linda's rehabilitation center was a small building behind her house, filled with cages and aquariums and the soft sounds of animals recovering. When Marcus walked in carrying the box, she met him with gloves already on. She lifted each baby carefully, examining their bodies with the practiced eye of someone who'd seen hundreds of orphan squirrels. "They're dehydrated," she said quietly, "but they're alive. You did the right thing not feeding them." She explained what would happen next. First, rehydration, subcutaneous fluids to get their system stable. Then, specialized formula feeding every 3 hours. Squirrels this young couldn't regulate their own body temperature, so they'd stay in a temperature-controlled incubator. If they survived the first 48 hours, their chances improved dramatically. If they didn't, Linda didn't finish that sentence. She didn't have to. Marcus asked if he could visit. Linda smiled. "Most people drop them off and never think about them again," she said. "But sure, come back in a week. Let's see how they do." The first 72 hours were critical. Linda worked around the clock, feeding the babies with a syringe every 3 hours, even through the night. She massaged their bellies after each feeding to stimulate urination and defecation, something their mother would have done with her tongue. She monitored their weight obsessively. Baby squirrels should gain weight daily. If they don't, something's wrong. The smallest of the three, a little female Linda named Peanut, struggled. She wouldn't latch onto the syringe. Her weight dropped from 28 grams to 25. Linda switched to a different nipple, tried a warmer formula temperature, adjusted the feeding angle. On the 4th day, Peanut finally drank a full feeding. Her weight ticked upward. Linda exhaled. By the end of the first week, all 3 babies had stabilized. Marcus came to visit as promised, and Linda showed him their progress. The babies had grown. Their fur was filling in, soft gray on their backs, white on their bellies. They weighed over 40 grams now. They were still blind, but their ears had started to open, tiny folds unfurling to reveal pink inner canals. When Linda held them, they squeaked and nuzzled against her palm, searching for warmth and milk. "They're going to make it," Linda said. And for the first time since finding them, Marcus believed it. By the time the babies were 4 weeks old, their transformation was remarkable. Their eyes had begun to open, just slits at first, then wider, revealing dark, curious eyes that blinked against the light. They could see movement now, though their vision was still blurry. They responded to Linda's voice, their little heads turning when she approached their cage. Their fur had thickened into a soft, velvety coat. They looked like squirrels now, not fragile pink creatures clinging to life. They had personalities. The largest, a male Linda called Bandit for the dark stripe across his nose, was fearless and climbed everything. The middle one, also male, was cautious and preferred to stay in the nest box. And Peanut, the smallest, was scrappy, always the first to grab food, always pushing her brothers aside for the best spot near the heat source. Your moment to help is easy. Just hit subscribe so we can keep sharing these rescue stories. Because what happened next shows why this work matters so much. At 6 weeks old, the babies graduated from formula to solid foods. Linda introduced rodent blocks, small, nutrient-dense pellets designed for squirrels in rehabilitation. She added pieces of apple, slivers of sweet potato, shelled pecans. The babies approached these new foods with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion, sniffing and nibbling cautiously. Bandit was the first to figure out how to crack a pecan, holding it between his tiny paws and gnawing with his newly developed teeth. Peanut preferred the apple, her sharp incisors slicing through the soft flesh. They still drank formula twice a day, but their dependence on it was fading. Their cage had been upgraded too, a tall enclosure filled with branches, ropes, and platforms. This was where they learned to climb. At first, they were clumsy, their movements jerky and uncertain. They'd leap for a branch and miss, tumbling onto the soft bedding below. But squirrels are born to climb. Within days, they were scrambling up the walls, hanging upside down from the ropes, racing each other across the platforms. Their tails, once thin and rat-like, had filled in with fur and began to curl over their backs in that classic squirrel arch. Marcus visited every week, watching their progress with a pride that surprised him. He'd never thought of himself as an animal person. But these squirrels, these 3 tiny lives he'd almost walked past, had changed something in him. He started volunteering at the center, helping Linda with feedings and cage cleanings. He met other orphaned animals, baby rabbits, an injured hawk, a litter of possums. The work was hard, often heartbreaking. Not every animal survived. But the ones who did, the ones who healed and grew strong enough to return to the wild, made everything worth it. By 8 weeks old, the squirrels were nearly ready for release. Linda moved them to an outdoor pre-release cage, a large enclosure in her backyard where they could experience weather, natural sounds, and the rhythm of day and night. They needed to learn to forage, to recognize predators, to understand that humans were not safe. Linda stopped handling them directly. She placed food in different spots each day, forcing them to search and problem solve. She played recordings of hawk calls to teach them to freeze and take cover. She gave them whole nuts still in the shell, so they'd learn to gnaw through the hard exterior. The transformation was remarkable. Your moment to make a difference is easy. If you don't want to miss transformations like this, hit that subscribe button so you're here for every story. At 10 weeks old, they looked like miniature adult squirrels. Their tails were full and bushy, their eyes bright and alert. They weighed over 100 grams each. They could leap 6 feet between branches, land gracefully, and scramble up a tree trunk in seconds. They were ready. Linda chose a release site carefully, a wooded area near a neighborhood with mature oak trees, plenty of natural food sources, and no major roads nearby. The morning of the release, she and Marcus loaded the pre-release cage into her truck and drove to the site. The squirrels chattered nervously inside, sensing something had changed. Linda placed the cage at the base of a large oak and opened the door. For a long moment, nothing happened. The squirrels stayed inside, pressed against the back wall. Then Bandit took a tentative step forward. He paused at the threshold, whiskers twitching, nose testing the air. Another step. Then suddenly, he bolted, a gray blur shooting up the tree trunk and disappearing into the canopy. His brother followed seconds later. Only Peanut hesitated, looking back at Linda one last time. Then she too ran, her small body moving with grace and speed, her tail streaming behind her like a banner. Marcus and Linda stood there for a long time, watching the trees. They caught glimpses of the squirrels moving through the branches, leaping, exploring, claiming their new territory. And then they were gone, absorbed into the wild where they belonged. The story of these 3 squirrels matters because it's not unique. Every spring and summer, thousands of baby squirrels fall from nests during storms, are orphaned when their mothers are killed by cars or predators, or are displaced when trees are cut down. Most of them die. But some, like Bandit and his siblings, get a second chance because someone stopped to look inside a cardboard box. Because someone made a phone call instead of walking away. Because a network of volunteers and rehabilitators dedicated their time and resources to animals most people never think twice about. Squirrels are often dismissed as pests, nuisances raiding bird feeders and chewing through attic insulation. But they're also ecosystem engineers. They plant forests by forgetting where they buried their acorns. They provide food for hawks, owls, foxes, and countless other predators. They're intelligent, adaptable, and remarkably resilient. And when you watch a baby squirrel take its first leap into the wild after weeks of careful rehabilitation, you remember something important. Every life has value. Every creature deserves a chance. Marcus still volunteers at Linda's center. He's become skilled at feeding baby squirrels, skilled at recognizing the subtle signs of illness or distress. He's helped release dozens more animals since that April morning. Sometimes, when he's back at his apartment complex, he looks up into the trees and wonders if any of the squirrels he sees racing along the branches are the ones he found. There's no way to know, but he likes to think they're up there somewhere, thriving in the world they were meant to inherit. The lesson isn't complicated. It's simple, really. Pay attention. Look down when you pass a cardboard box. Listen for sounds that don't belong. And if you find an animal in need, don't panic. Get help from people who know what they're doing. Wildlife rehabilitators exist in every state, trained and licensed to provide the specialized care these animals need. They don't do it for money. They do it because they understand something essential about our relationship with the natural world. We share this space. And when we take the time to care for the creatures who live alongside us, we become better versions of ourselves. For more rescues like this one and full updates on every animal, check out the membership link in the description. Thanks for watching. Because 3 tiny squirrels, cold, orphaned, and barely clinging to life, are alive today because one person stopped to look inside a box. And that changes everything.